Hi, my name is Tom. I'm an Ableton certified trainer and I'm here with Music Radar Tech. And today we're going to be looking at some of the built-in devices in Ableton Live. So this is part of a series of videos that we're doing exploring the built-in devices in Live. You may be a long-time Live user or a new Live user, and you've never quite gone into the effects that come with Ableton, of which there are many really powerful effects. Depending on which version of Live you may have more or less of these. But there's not really any need to sort of go and get any third-party VST plugins, because everything that you need to make music is kind of built into Ableton Live, depending on sort of which version that you have. In this video, we're going to be looking at the spectral effects that are in Ableton Live. So now you will need Ableton Live Suite to be able to use these devices, but there are really unique and interesting devices that kind of don't actually exist anywhere else, really. There are a handful of sort of VST plugins that do this kind of thing, but they're quite unique to Ableton as far as I'm aware. And you can get some really interesting sort of sound design things out of these. So in the browser over here on the left, I'm in the audio effects section, and I'm using the browser filters to just filter down by spectral effects. We're just going to look at two today: Spectral Time and Spectral Resonators. So we'll start with Spectral Time. I'm going to load this onto, I've got a really simple kind of electric piano loop here. And I'll load Spectral Time onto this. Now, at first glance, this is a sort of relatively complex looking device. Don't be too put off by it. At the sort of basic level, there's kind of essentially three sections to the device. One of the sections is this display section, which is really just purely for display. You can actually hide that if you don't want to see it. But then we have two sort of main sections. There's the freezer section and the delay section. And today, we're pretty much only going to focus on the freezer section, because there's a lot of fun stuff that you can do with that. So the way that these spectral devices work is they work with the frequency spectrum of the sound and manipulate it in interesting ways that you get these kind of sort of effects that might be quite kind of otherworldly and unfamiliar. They're sort of quite inherently digital sounding, but sort of really interesting in their character. So at the most basic level, the way this freezer effect works is we have this freeze button, and when I click that, it's going to freeze the spectral content of the sound. So I've clicked that. You can hear that that's just going to sustain forever and ever until I turn the freeze button off. So the sound's playing in the background. I can just freeze that, just sustain the sound. So immediately that's really interesting for sound design. You can create these kind of interesting pads that you could then add effects to, create kind of drones and textures, which is pretty cool. Just to point out, at the moment, I am on full 100% dry wet here. So you could, of course, blend these effects in with the original signal, but in this case, I'm going to use them fully dry wet. We'll look at some other effects in a moment. One important thing to point out here, though, is we do have this setting over here called resolution. This affects the kind of quality of the spectral resolution. You'll hear if I turn this down to something like low, we don't get quite as high a fidelity in the sound. This can be really useful for different other kinds of sound we might be going for, but for these more kind of paddy, droney sounds, you want to have your resolution on ultra. It is going to use slightly more processing power, but most modern computers can handle this just fine. So now the other really interesting thing that we can do here is with this freeze button on. At the moment, I'm in manual mode, so I've just got to turn it on manually, which you can do some really interesting things with. You could automate this. But we also have this retrigger mode, which automatically retriggers the freezing based on certain conditions. So we've got kind of two modes we could be in. In sync mode, it's going to retrigger the freezing at rhythmic intervals. If I make this really quick, you can sort of hear that I'm getting these like interval chunks. If I make this really long, maybe like a bar long, every bar, it grabs kind of a new segment of the sound. So that's kind of one way to work with it. Another way to work with it is to use this onset control, which detects sort of a transient in the sound and re-triggers, again, based on the sensitivity control here. So basically with these Rhodes chords, I can set this so that every time there's a new chord, it grabs that chord and sort of extends it out, which is quite nice. It's an interesting way to take a sort of decaying sound and turn it into a much kind of longer pad. This crossfade control just controls, you'll hear the fade between the different spectral captures that it does. And you can either be in this crossfade mode, or we can be in this mode here, where you can set a fade in time and a fade out time. So you get these more kind of decaying spectral pieces of sound, which is really interesting. So on these Rhodes chords, that sounds kind of pretty straightforward. We just kind of blur the sound out. What if we take something like, I've got this arp sound over here. I'm going to drop spectral time on that. Let's trigger this arp. And I'll turn spectral time on. I can kind of blur out those arpeggios. I'm in a sensitivity mode now. Or I can go into sync mode and just grab like different sections of it. Let's play around with some rhythms here. Get this really interesting sort of transformation in the sound. I could turn down the dry wet. Maybe I'll set this at the rate of the arpeggiator. To get a little bit of the original sound in there, but kind of this sort of blurry tail. So you could really take a sound and sort of stretch it out and blur it a little bit. This can actually work really nicely on drums as well. Let me drop this over on this drum track that I have over here. I'll turn it off and just trigger some drums. And I'll turn the spectral time on. That sounds really interesting on the drums. There we go. Turn it to its crossfade mode. Now, something important to be aware of here is you can actually right-click on the title bar and there's some additional controls that you get for this device. So at the moment, I have this avoid freezing onsets control. Basically, this is really handy when you're working with drums because it's going to not freeze the very sharp initial transient. You'll hear if I turn this off, I'm going to get much more of kind of the clicky transient bit of the sound, which doesn't sound quite as nice. Although, depending on what you're going for, maybe that's what you want. So this is a little bit more blurry. The other thing to be aware of with this device is just due to the nature of its processing, it does actually add latency to the sound. You can see if I hover over the device bar at the top here, down in the bottom left, it tells me it's adding 116 milliseconds of latency. Now, Live will automatically compensate this for you, but you can change the way that this responds by adjusting the zero dry signal latency. Now, this is going to make a lot more sense if I set the dry wet and I turn this on and off. You can hear that my dry signal doesn't have the latency, and there's a bit of a delay to it now when it actually triggers because of the latency that's being added. Whereas if I turn this off, my whole project is going to have latency to it. So if you're trying to play in something live, it's going to be a bit difficult because there'll be a bit of a delay. It'll automatically be compensated, but everything will be kind of more in time. There's different situations where you may use one or the other. But hopefully what you can start to hear is you can use this as a really interesting effect. Like on drums, you could do it to add these kind of almost glitchy reverb tails to it. If I set this to onset and play with the fade in, fade out, you can really add interesting kind of textures to the drums. Or go full dry wet and just kind of completely blur it out or glitch it up a bit. So anytime you want to take a sound and just kind of smear it, the spectral time is really good for that. So let's take a look at the other spectral device, Spectral Resonator. Now I'm going to load this onto, I've got this track here with some field recordings. That's just me kind of crunching some rocks. But what I've actually done is I've kind of quantized this. You can hear it's quite rhythmic. I've quantized this to the grid. It's got a little bit of a rhythm to it. And I'm going to add the spectral resonators to this. Spectral resonators tends to work really nicely on sounds that have a lot of rhythm to them, because what the spectral resonator is going to do is going to take the input of the sound and kind of add this ringing resonant quality to it. So you can hear that happening there, and I can control things like the decay of that. I can control the frequency that it's generating. I can set it to a particular note if I want to. But where this gets really interesting is instead of sort of tuning this manually, you can set the spectral resonator to take a MIDI input. So for example, I'll mute the actual track here, but I can grab the MIDI from these chords that I have here. I'll say MIDI from my Chrome channel. And now what you can hear is that those sort of ringing resonant sounds are being tuned by the incoming MIDI notes. But they're inheriting the rhythm of the field recording that's going into them. So if I try a different field recording, so there's like a stick being hit. Get this kind of interesting sort of dubby kind of sound, bringing some drums. And there's a lot of other things you can do to manipulate the sounds here. So I can control the decay, I can damp the high frequencies, or damp the low frequencies, make it brighter. The shift control shifts the pitch of the incoming signal. So we have two kind of transpose controls here. This control is going to transpose the actual resonance. And then this one is going to control the pitch of the input signal. Now obviously here we've got like a non-pitched sort of percussive signal, but you'll hear how adjusting this shift control can affect the tone of the resonance. Stretch is a bit of an odd one. What it does is it kind of stretches out the tuning of the resonators so that it will start to get kind of inharmonic, but at about 100% again, it comes back around and becomes harmonic. So good if you want to create kind of more metallic percussive sounds. But we go all the way up to 100%. You can hear how it sort of changes the character. So a really fun way to work with the spectral resonator is set up a chord progression somewhere like I've got here, and then find something that's got an interesting rhythm to it, like a field recording, even a drum beat. I could stick this on my drum track and it's going to sort of follow the rhythm of the drum track. But I really like sort of something like a field recording that's got an interesting rhythm to it. And then you could set up multiple kind of different rhythms or field recordings that you can then send into the resonator. So you can have that same kind of progression, but all these interesting different rhythms. So that's kind of a bit off kilter, but you could quantize it if you wanted to. Change to this one. There's also these modulation modes. So if I just want to hear the raw resonance, or I could add some chorus to it. This wander is like a very particular kind of chorus. Or I could get kind of quite weird with it with this granular mode. Which is pretty interesting. So that sounds really cool actually. You've got these really interesting kind of like twinkly little sounds going on. So there's lots of really interesting sort of sound design scope within the Spectral Resonator. It is a really unique device. There's sort of not a lot of other effects that create the same kind of character that you get out of these spectral devices. So they're well worth exploring. They're a little bit complex at first, but once you sort of get to grips with them, they can be really creative. So again, that was Spectral Time and Spectral Resonator. Thanks for hanging out with us and checking out these effects. See you in the next one.